How's it going, guys? Once again, here answering your retreat questions. I'm here with Arnaldo, and one of the questions you guys asked at retreat was, as a shy and timid person, what can I do to establish a conversation with a random person about Christ, His love, and His plan of salvation?
Well, that's an interesting question. Only because it happens more often than you think. Many times when I talk to people and I'm like, oh, so why don't you? It's like preach the gospel. Talk to people. It's like, oh, I'm shy, right? And that happens. And honestly, I'm pretty shy when it comes to speaking too, at least with an unpopular message, right? So, one thing that I've done is pray for boldness. Just pray for boldness and pray for a love for God more than I would that other person's feelings or opinions about me. And so then I remember what Scripture says, and when Jesus tells me, commands me to go and preach to all nations. And so in answering the question is that I understand it's not easy. I really do. It's not an easy thing to just start a casual conversation with someone you don't know and talk about heaven and hell and Jesus and salvation. But you can lead any conversation in that direction simply by trying. So simply by establishing a hello, anything, how are you doing today? One thing I do is that whenever I'm running late to church, which is a usual thing, unfortunately, I order a taxi. And so in that taxi, I've got I say to myself, I got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I got 15 minutes. I need to kind of steer the conversation in a way that I can preach the gospel. Now, I don't always do this, so I also fail at this. But you'd be surprised how often people don't think about death all that often, or what happens afterwards. And so if you kind of like bring up I bring up that I'm going to church. That usually sparks something. Right? Or I would ask, hey, so do you believe in God? Right? And kind of like pick it up through there. But I think the one important thing is just like it's prayer with God before you do such a thing. It's just if you feel like you can't do it, great. Pray that the Lord lead you as you speak and let Him do the work. But always drive it home and try your best that way. And pray for boldness because God will provide. But don't let that be a stumbling block for you to say, this is why I don't preach. Because think about it like this. Do you love your shyness more than you love that person? Do you love your shyness more than you love God? Romans 1:16 says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation, for the Jew first and also to the Greek, for those who believe. I know I kind of jumbled that last part, so don't criticize me for that. I get it. But yeah, guys, shyness usually comes with being ashamed. Do not be ashamed. I'm not saying it's in all cases, but usually in the depth of someone, shame is where shyness comes from. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be embarrassed. But what I'm saying is, do you value that more than the person's internal destination? Do you value that more than the love that God is telling you to have for that person? And that's what I would say, is just pray.
I just want to ask you guys a question. How sure are you about the things that you believe? Because if you're not sure, then maybe that's the issue also.